a new board, but not announcing who they are just yet. Instead, promising to name them later this month. Henyard is under investigation by the...
Now she's teasing a big announcement that she claims will result in some of her...
The $50 entry fee for Mayor Tiffany Henyard's re-election event in Dalton, Illinois, has sparked intense debate, highlighting political strategy and fundraising amid an ongoing scandal involving her administration. Allegations of voter suppression and questionable appointments have tarnished her tenure, turning the steep cost into a symbol of exclusivity, but also raising doubts about her political motivations and leadership style. Supporters of Henyard argue that the high fee demonstrates her political strength, showing her ability to rally both public and financial support even in the face of controversy. To them, this reflects her resilience and political acumen. They view her ability to gather such backing, despite the challenges, as a testament to her leadership. On the other hand, critics see the pricey ticket as a desperate attempt to garner support in light of the scandals surrounding her. They believe it points to financial misconduct, especially when considering the economic struggles facing the local community and concerns about inclusivity in her campaign. The debate over Henyard's re-election event fee highlights a larger issue of political access and the socio-economic realities of Dalton, where many residents are dealing with rising crime rates and an unreliable local government. For some, the notion of paying $50 to attend a political fundraiser seems difficult to accept, with the event feeling more like a spectacle meant to impress Henyard's supporters than a genuine effort to engage with the public in meaningful political conversation. Meanwhile, Henyard's backers defend the high cost as a necessary symbol of her political resilience. Opponents argue that this decision illustrates a wider disconnect between Dalton's leadership and the needs of its residents. The expensive price tag could alienate voters who can't afford it, further isolating those already feeling distanced from the political process amidst mounting criticisms. Henyard's re-election event is increasingly viewed less as a heartfelt campaign rally and more as an extravagant political move designed to win over her most devoted followers. The controversy surrounding Henyard's leadership is further compounded by her tendency to dismiss criticism as stemming from jealousy or ambition, instead of addressing valid concerns. In this way, she continues to portray herself as a target of constant attacks, all while building her campaign around high-profile events that deepen divisions within the community. This only reinforces the perception that Henyard is more focused on protecting her political legacy than solving the real issues facing Dalton. The decision to impose such a high fee also raises concerns about the accessibility of political leadership in Dalton. For many residents, spending $50 on a political event underscores the economic divide in the community. While Henyard's supporters may see the fee as a sign of her strength and determination, others view it as yet another example of a leadership style that favors spectacle over substance. Henyard's fundraising strategy mirrors her administration's broader issues, such as allegations of backroom deals and dubious appointments, all in a town grappling with crime, financial instability, and a lack of trust in local government. As Henyard's re-election campaign unfolds and donations continue to pour in, it remains unclear whether her expensive fundraising tactics will solidify her support or expose flaws in her administration's approach. Ultimately, the $50 fee for attending Henyard's re-election party becomes a symbol of the deep political divide within Dalton. For some, it represents a strong, determined leader fighting to safeguard her legacy, while for others, it strengthens the perception of an administration more focused on holding on to power than addressing the real concerns of the community. The high cost of participation in Henyard's campaign not only reflects her leadership style, but also highlights the complex challenges Dalton faces as it looks to the future. Whether Henyard's strategies will prove an asset or a liability in securing the community's trust and support remains to be seen. Mayor Tiffany Henyard of Dalton, Illinois, has faced intense scrutiny over allegations of abuse of power, corruption, financial mismanagement, and the alleged use of local law enforcement to
2025, yet Tiffany Henyard has officially decided she wants to stay as mayor despite the clout.
Intimidate political opponents. Since becoming mayor in 2021, Henyard has found herself at the center of a high-stakes political drama that has shaken the small town of approximately 20,000 residents just south of Chicago. The controversy surrounding her administration has not only eroded public trust, but also raised critical questions about her leadership abilities, especially as she enters a re-election campaign amid growing opposition. Since taking office, Henyard has been plagued by accusations of financial misconduct, with critics alleging that she misused public funds for personal benefit. Her spending patterns have drawn attention, with some accusing her of prioritizing her personal interests over the town's well-being, including diverting taxpayer money toward unnecessary expenditures. This has further destabilized a town already struggling financially, raising doubts about Henyard's ability to tackle the community's pressing issues and calling into question her commitment to serving the public. Critics, including former supporters, argue that Henyard's administration has exacerbated Dalton's already fragile situation, failing to address key problems such as economic decline, rising crime rates, and deteriorating infrastructure. They accuse her of engaging in political maneuvering, driven more by self-interest than by the welfare of the town, which has fueled a growing sense of frustration among Dalton's residents. Many feel that their concerns have been ignored or dismissed under her leadership. One of the most contentious aspects of Henyard's leadership is her pursuit of re-election. Despite ongoing criticism and a federal investigation into allegations of financial impropriety, Henyard has remained determined to seek a second term. Her recent announcement of a re-election launch party has been seen by many as an attempt to project confidence amid mounting challenges. However, to many in Dalton, this move appears out of touch with the urgent issues facing the town. Critics argue that Henyard's focus on hosting expensive campaign events only deepens the divide between her and the residents she is supposed to serve. As the town struggles with slow progress and a growing sense of neglect, many Dalton residents have become increasingly frustrated with Henyard's reluctance to address the town's most pressing problems. Henyard's re-election campaign has become a lightning rod for broader concerns about leadership accountability and transparency. Some view her determination to run again as a defiant stance against her critics, while others perceive it as arrogance, with Henyard failing to acknowledge the serious flaws in her leadership. The controversy surrounding her re-election bid has only heightened the political polarization in Dalton, making it more difficult for the community to address the issues that matter most. Supporters of Henyard praise her resilience, applauding her determination to press on with her political ambitions despite the ongoing controversies. They argue that her ability to weather criticism reflects a boldness and tenacity that are necessary for navigating a turbulent political environment. On the other hand, critics contend that Henyard's leadership has been marked by division and poor decision-making. They point to her use of political power to suppress opposition, her financial mismanagement, and her failure to tackle the town's most pressing concerns as evidence that she is unfit to lead. The divide between Henyard's supporters and her detractors has fostered a highly polarized political climate in Dalton. The town is now at a crossroads, with Henyard's re-election campaign serving as a defining moment for its future. The key question is whether the community will continue down a path of dysfunction and division, or whether it will embrace a new direction focused on transparency, accountability, and ethical governance. The stakes of this election are high, and its outcome will shape Dalton's future for years to come. If Henyard is re-elected, it will be seen as an endorsement of her leadership style, despite the controversies and scandals that have dogged her administration. However, if she is defeated, it could signal a shift toward a government that prioritizes accountability, transparency, and the needs of the people over political power. As the election approaches, Henyard's handling of the allegations against her remains a focal point. A federal investigation into her financial dealings is underway, with reports indicating that it spans both Dalton and the neighboring Thornton Township, where she also serves as supervisor. The investigation focuses on claims that Henyard used government funds for personal expenses, further fueling suspicions about her leadership and dedication to public service. In response to the allegations, Henyard has largely dismissed the claims, choosing instead to attack her political opponents and blame them for the town's problems. In a nearly 90-minute Facebook Live broadcast, Henyard defended her actions and sought to downplay the significance of the federal investigation rather than addressing the concerns raised by her critics. She went on an extended tirade against her political enemies, accusing them of orchestrating a smear campaign. This response has done little to alleviate public concerns, with many residents feeling that Henyard's failure to engage with the issues head-on only widens the rift between her and the community. Public forums have become battlegrounds for frustrated citizens demanding greater transparency and accountability from their leadership. Among the vocal critics is Chas, a local cleaning staff member who has been outspoken about the need for ethical governance in Dalton. Chas, like many others, believes that Henyard has neglected the town's serious issues and that her actions have only worsened the dysfunction plaguing Dalton during her time in office. This growing frustration is echoed by trustees and other local officials, many of whom have become disillusioned with Henyard's leadership. They believe her actions are designed to avoid accountability and evade addressing legitimate concerns, offering vague promises instead of concrete solutions. As the federal investigation continues and the political battle intensifies, Henyard has relied on dismissive rhetoric and vague promises to deflect attention from the allegations against her. The growing rift between her defensive posture and the public's demand for meaningful answers is becoming more evident. The tension between the leadership and the electorate has reached a boiling point, with many residents calling for a change in direction. Henyard's refusal to address these concerns directly has only deepened the community's resentment, and many fear that her re-election bid will only further divide the town rather than bring the change that is urgently needed. The ongoing controversy surrounding Henyard's leadership has forced Dalton residents to confront the reality of their governance. The critical question now is whether they are willing to continue down the path of dysfunction and division, or whether they will demand a change in leadership that emphasizes accountability, transparency, and genuine civic engagement. The outcome of this election will likely determine the future of Dalton, shaping the town's path for years to come. As Henyard's re-election bid unfolds amidst mounting criticism, the question is no longer whether she can navigate the challenges of the campaign, but whether her leadership has become a liability for the town. The growing frustration and mistrust surrounding her administration suggest that the election may be a pivotal moment in Dalton's history, with consequences that will reverberate for years to come.